Hi, I'm Kelly with citruscycles.ca. Thought I'd do a quick comparison video for you. I've got two cargo e-bikes here. They're both Bosch powered. There's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences as well. So right up front here is the felt Bruhaul, and behind it is the Mueller Packster. Now, for a detailed, in-depth video review of each of these bikes individually, head over to our website at citruscycles.ca. There you'll find a detailed video review of each bike, the detailed specs, current pricing, and you'll find our contact info. So if you have questions about these bikes, or if you'd like to come over to Ladysmith to try them out yourself, or you want to take advantage of our Try at Home program, we can bring the felt Bruhaul to you anywhere on Vancouver Island or the Lower Mainland. For the Mueller Packster, you're gonna have to come here. This is the 80 centimeter version. It's really long. I can't really fit this in my vehicle or on my rack, but we're working on making that happen. Or if we went with the 60 centimeter version of the box, it would probably fit a little bit easier. So all of that information is over on our website. But I just wanted in this video to kind of walk you through some of the differences between them. So like I said, they are both Bosch powered. With the felt, you do get the Bosch performance line, and you get the 400 watt-hour battery. With the Mueller, the great thing about what they're doing is they're really putting the top-end specs of everything on their bikes. So these bikes are actually assembled by hand in Germany, and so the quality, attention to detail, the engineering that goes into these bikes is what you would expect in a situation like that. And they also put in top-notch specs. Of course, that's going to cause the price to go up a little bit, so there is a price difference between these two bikes, and you'll see that on our website. So this one has the Bosch Performance Line CX, which is actually Bosch's top-end mid-drive. It gives you more torque than the Performance Line on the felt, which is nice for climbing hills with loads, and it also gives you more assistance in the top two sport and turbo levels. Now, having said that, I love the Performance Line CX, but I haven't run into problems with the felt in terms of climbing hills, even with a couple of kids or groceries on the back. It hasn't been an issue, but it is nice having that little bit of extra power. And it is especially nice having that extra power on the Mueller on the Packster, because as you can tell, it's a lot bigger of a bike and it's a lot heavier. The felt is actually exceptionally light for its size, and I would say the Packster is maybe a little bit heavier for its size because it's really well built, lots of solid components on there. It's got a 100 kilo capacity in the box there, so it's 220 pounds. So they've really overbuilt it to make sure that it lasts and that you can really load it up. So as I mentioned, yes, they're both Bosch powered bikes. The Mueller does come with the Power Pack 500, which gives you 25% more range. Now, in actual practice, you may not get 25% more distance than the felt Bruhaul because you are overcoming some weight resistance. And also, it's not as aerodynamic when you go with this optional basis box. The box is huge and not particularly aerodynamic, but you can fit a lot more in there. And that kind of is one of the differences between these bikes. You can see that the Bruhaul is a long tail. So we've got a loading platform here where you could put child seats if you want. There's the optional seat cushion. My daughter loves that. She can then sit on there, rest her feet down here. We've got the spoke guard on so that she doesn't get her wheels caught in there. If you've got older kids like I do, this is nice because it's a nice upright position. If you have younger kids, you can put them in a child seat on the back here, but then they are on the back, so they're behind you. You're gonna kind of have to deal with communication things, and if you need to be reaching behind you, that can be a little bit awkward. So that's the long tail, and you can put up to 4 pannier bags on there. You can really load that up, and the weight is behind you. Now, the nice thing about it is relatively short compared to the Packster, and as a first-time cargo bike, this is really accessible. It rides like a regular bike. You just climb on and start riding, and in fact, I rode this bike as a regular bike for a number of months because it's just a fantastic, fun bike to ride. You won't have any problems transitioning to it from a regular bike, and you'll be able to put lots on the back there, and the load is centered over these 24-inch wheels, and so it makes it really, really stable. But everything is behind you, and if you start stacking stuff up, that's going to shift your center of balance fairly high. When you go with a box bike rather than the long tail like the Packster here, and by the way, this is just the optional cover. It's rainproof, waterproof, so if I'm hauling stuff in the rain, or surprisingly both my children like riding in the box with the cover on in the rain, they stay nice and dry, and they seem to think that it's nice and cozy in there. Really easy to get off. You just grab these handy little Mueller pull tags here, and that just comes right off. But it is very secure when you are riding it in the wind, so that's nice to know. So now with a box like this, you can actually get a kid's box. So rather than a cargo box like I have here, which is 80 centimeters, you get a little bit shorter of a kid's box. It actually has a cushion to sit on and for the back, and it has seat belts to keep them secure. And so now they're in front of you, and that might make it a little bit easier for you to keep your eye on them, and you may feel a little bit more confident with them being kind of enclosed here rather than sitting on the back. So for older children, you know, the Bruhaul with a long tail works really well. Now for older children, my kids love it in here, but you can also you know, put younger children in as well. It's also going to obviously hold a lot more than you can fit on the Bruhaul, because with the Packster you can get this optional rear rack here, which has a 20 kilo load rating on it. So you can still put pannier bags or a trunk bag, and it does come with this handy little bungee cord here that's, you know, built into the rack, so you're not going to lose it. You don't have to forget about bringing it along, and that's going to help you bring even more stuff along. So you can put tons of stuff in this box, kids, groceries, whatever you're hauling. The nice thing about this box is these sides do come off, so then you can put really wide things on if you're hauling lumber or furniture or something like that. All the while your load's going to be relatively low, so that's nice that it is a fairly low load, and that's part of the idea why they put the 20-inch wheel on the front here compared to both 24-inch wheels on the Bruhaul. Now what that does is it does change the handling of the bike. So you've got this 20-inch wheel, lots of spokes, really reinforced, massive brakes, front suspension, which is actually really nice. You'll notice the Bruhaul doesn't have a front suspension. They do both have balloon tires, so that helps smooth out the ride, and the Bruhaul isn't bad with a rigid fork. The tires really help. But I do have to say, the kids do like it, and I enjoy it, having the front suspension fork with the Packster here. It really helps to smooth out the ride. More than smoothing out the ride, it also helps with stability and control, because it's kind of absorbing some of those bumps and making it easier to handle. It also has a suspension seat post, and I love the suspension seat post. I would definitely put one on the Bruhaul, because it really, again, helps to smooth out the ride. And so when you have the box in the front, though, it does affect your handling. As you can see, my steering is up here, but the wheel is way down there. So the first few times you ride this bike, it's going to take some getting used to, because you're going to turn and it doesn't appear that the bike is turning. It is, but your brain is telling you there's something wrong, because this box isn't really turning, and the wheel, you can't see, it doesn't seem to be turning either. It's fine when you get used to it. It'll take a few rides without anything in it to just kind of get used to that, but it does take some getting used to. Whereas with a long tail bike like this, I can honestly say, when you get on this and ride it, you won't know it's a cargo bike. You won't feel that you've got this long tail behind you. It'll just feel like a regular bike with a really nice riding position. The Packster also does have a really nice riding position. You can see there's a nice angle on the seat tube here, so as you raise the seat you get a little bit further away from the handlebars, which is nice. And we do have a telescopic adjustment here, which is really sturdy on the handlebars as well, so multiple people can ride this bike. You'll notice both have a nice low standover height, but the Packster from R&M Mueller does have a lower standover height, so it makes it really easy for multiple people to ride this bike, especially with this quick adjustment. It's toolless, so you can quickly adjust that. The Bruhaul does have an adjustable stem, but you do need a tool to adjust that, and you want to make sure you get that nice and tight once you've adjusted it how you want it. So they're both fantastic bikes. I really enjoy riding them. They do handle a little bit differently. Like I said, the Bruhaul just rides like a regular bike with the long linkage here between the front wheel and the steering on the Packster. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but then your load is low and in front of you and you can keep your eye on it, whereas with the Bruhaul your load is going to be a little bit higher, and on the rear it'll be harder to keep track of. The Packster has lots of different options, so that's one of the things that really appeals to me about this bike. For example, I went with the belt and the New Vinci continuously variable hub, partly because I really enjoy riding with the New Vinci system. I can shift while I'm stopped. That's a great feature on a cargo bike because I'm already focusing on, you know, maybe the kids or my load. I'm focusing on the road around me, and I may not have the time to also think about downshifting before stopping or that sort of thing. You tend to ride cargo bikes in more urban settings, although this would be a great bike for bike camping. Think of all the stuff you could fit in there. It'd be fantastic. Or touring. It's just, there's so many possibilities with either of these bikes. But I love the New Vinci system here because I can actually change my gearing while I'm stopped, and I can also, it's very intuitive. As you can see, if I'm going up a hill, I twist it, it shows going up a hill. Again, you can check out all the actual details of this in the full video review, but I do like that option. So you can get the Packster with a chain and a derailleur like the Bruhaul has over here. Mind you, the chain wouldn't be as long, and that's one of the interesting things about a longtail is you've got a really long chain to keep clean. So I went with this bike, I said no more having to chain and clean chains and keep them oiled and clean the cassette and all of that maintenance stuff and replacing things. The belt, no maintenance. The New Vinci system, no maintenance. Really easy to use. So that's one of the options with the Packster. You can go with a belt and the New Vinci, or you can go with a chain and derailleur. You can also, like I said, this is the 80 centimeter version of the box. You can actually go with the 60 centimeter version, which makes the bike a fair bit shorter. And you can see, you know, when I compare the bikes side by side here, the Packster is quite a bit longer. But you can get that smaller. You can get the kids box, like I said. You don't even have to have a box. You can just get it with nothing, just the frame. You can see the frame under there. So it actually, if you look at it from the front, and you just visualize where the frame is here, that is how wide the bike actually is. It doesn't have to be this wide with the box. You can even get just the floorboard, so to speak, so that you have a platform to put stuff on and it's still very narrow. Or you can get this box, or like I said, you can get the kids box. You can even, if you get the kids box, you can get a cover that has windows in it and it's waterproof. And so there's a lot of different options. I think you can get different colors as well. This is the white, there's also a gray. Like I said, the rack is optional. Suspension seat posts come standard. I love the cafe lock because with a bike this big and this heavy, I mean, you're going to need 2 strong people and a really big truck to steal this bike. So I can simply lock the wheel lock here. What happens is a little bar is going to go through the spokes here. There you go, you see that? And that prevents the wheel from moving, so nobody can ride it away. And so if I'm doing a quick run to the grocery store, it's really easy to secure. Now, of course, with the Bruhaul, it's not hard to lock this either, and I can put a lock in the pannier bag and bring it along. So they're both fantastic bikes. They both have fairly easy to use kickstands. What I like about the Packster is if you are loading it up, you can leave it on the kickstand and I can have the kids climb in, and all I need to do to release the kickstand is just push the bike forward just a little bit and you can see it'll pop up, and then I can just lift it up. So I don't actually have to lift the bike, which is the case with a lot of kickstands. And to deploy the kickstand, I just put my foot on there and then pull back and it deploys. And again, I'm not having to lift my load. With a double kickstand like this, it's a little bit trickier, but not too bad. It's not as easy to release or to deploy. Deploying does require picking up a little bit of the bike. And so I usually will not deploy the kickstand while I have the kids on, for example. I'll have them hop off first. So that requires me balancing on the bike while they're on there and balancing the load. And it's easy enough to do, but just something to keep in mind. If you're looking for something that you don't have to balance, then this is a nice bike with that kickstand. So both are excellent options to consider. The Bruhaul, really accessible, easy way to get started with a cargo bike. The Packster is going to give you a lot more load and that load in the front. So for detailed reviews of each of these bikes, the detailed specs, to try them out, to order them, head on over to our website at citruscycles.ca.